Hi everybody, I am Teacher Joe. In this video, I'll introduce the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense can be used to describe an action that took place at a specific time in the past. And the past perfect tense makes use of the past participle form of verbs. First, we are going to look at the spelling pattern of the past participle form of the verbs. But our focus is going to be on regular verbs. So with regular verbs, we add ed to the base form of the verb. So for example, we have the base form of a verb paint. And in the past participle form, we add ed, which is painted. And open, we add ed, which is opened. But there is an exception to this rule. That is, if the base form of the verb ends in E, then in the past participle form, we only add D. So for example, we have the base form of a verb move, which ends in E. And in the past participle form, we add D, making moved. And name, which ends in E, in the past participle form, we add D, which is named. Also, if the base form of the verb ends in consonant plus vowel plus consonant, then we double the last consonant used plus ed in the past participle form. So for example, we have the base form of a verb plan. Now with plan, L is a consonant, A is a vowel, and N is a consonant. So we double the last consonant used, which is the N. We double it in the past participle form plus ed, which is planned. And program, now R is a consonant, A is a vowel, and M is a consonant. So we double the last consonant used, which is the M. We double it in the past participle form plus ed, which is programmed. And also, if the base form of the verb ends in consonant plus Y, then in the past participle form, we replace the Y with I plus ed. So for example, we have the base form of a verb worry. And in the past participle form, we replace the Y with I plus ed, which is worried. And study, we replace the Y with I plus ed, which is studied in the past participle form. We are now going to look at how to make affirmative or positive sentences with the past perfect tense. And this is how the structure looks like. We have the subject, that is I, you, we, they, he, she, and it, plus had, plus past participle form of the verb, plus the rest of the sentence. Now, let's look at some examples. Number 1, I had fallen asleep before 8 o'clock. In this sentence, the subject is I, plus had, plus the past participle form of the verb fall, which is fallen, plus the rest of the sentence. And number 2, my neighbor asked if we had seen his dog. In this sentence, the subject is we, plus had, plus the past participle form of the verb see, which is seen, plus the rest of the sentence. To make negative sentences in the past perfect tense, we put not or never between had and the past participle form of the verb. Now, this is how the structure looks like. We have the subject, that is I, you, we, they, he, she, and it, plus had, plus not or never, plus the past participle form of the verb, and plus the rest of the sentence. Now, let's look at some examples. Number 1, it had not rained before they left. In this sentence, the subject is it, plus had, plus not, plus the past participle form of the verb rain, which is rained, plus the rest of the sentence. And number 2, I had never seen such a beautiful sunset. In this sentence, the subject is I plus had plus never plus the past participle form of the verb see, which is seen, plus the rest of the sentence. And to ask questions in the past perfect tense, we change the position of the subject and had. And this is how the structure looks like. We begin with had plus the subject, that is I, you, we, they, he, she, and it, plus the past participle form of the verb, plus the rest of the sentence, then the question mark. Now, let's look at some examples. Number 1, had Jane and I seen that movie before? In this question, we begin with had plus the subject Jane and I, and the subjective pronoun for Jane and I is we, plus the past participle form of the verb see, that is seen, plus the rest of the sentence, then the question mark. And number 2, had it rained before they left? In this question, the subject is it, but we begin with had plus the subject it, plus the past participle form of the verb rain, that is rained, plus the rest of the sentence, then the question mark. At this point, we are going to look at the usages of the past perfect tense. And first, the past perfect tense is used when one action in a sentence happened before another action, which is usually in simple past tense. Now, let's look at some examples. Number 1, you had studied French before you moved to France. In this sentence, the first action is you had studied French, and the other action before you moved to France. And the other action is in a simple past. The move is in a simple past. And number 2, they won many of the games because they had practice. In this sentence, the first action is they had practice, and the other action, they won many of the games. So the other action is in a simple past, which is won. The past perfect tense can also be used when something happens right before another action. So for example, the bus had just left when we got to the stop. In this sentence, the first action is the bus had just left, and the other action when we got to the stop. So we can see in the other action, the verb is in a simple past, that is got, but in the first action, the verb is in the past participle form, that is left. And number 2, I had just gone outside when it started to rain. In this sentence, the first action is I had just gone outside, and the other action when it started to rain. So we can see in the second action, the verb is in a simple past, that is started. But in the first action, the verb is in the past participle form, that is gone. And the past perfect tense can also be used to show what happened before a specific time. Now, for example, he had never played football until last week. In this sentence, the specific time is last week. And before the specific time, what happened is he had never played football. And number 2, she had established her company before 2015. Now, in this sentence, the specific time is 2015. And before 2015, what happened is she had established her company. Again, the past perfect tense can be used when another person reports what someone else said. So, for example, the teacher asks if I had studied for the exam. In this sentence, I am reporting what the teacher said, which is the teacher asks if I had studied for the exam. And number 2, my neighbor asked if Tim had seen her cat. In this sentence, I am reporting what my neighbor said, which is my neighbor asked if Tim had seen her cat. I believe that you have learned or reviewed a lot in this video. Keep watching Speak English with Joe. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like and comment on the videos as well. Thank you for watching and see you again in the next video. Goodbye.